I'm delighted to have Prakash back in the studio here, obviously a member of the BMA and in the Isle of Man.
Yes.
You're the spokesperson. You certainly made things interesting when we talked last time, because you went public and you showed that results of that survey. You gave us information that we hadn't had in the public domain, and of course at the time you were threatening potentially there could be some sort of industrial action, whatever, and things have moved on. You've done a survey, you've done checked with what's going on in the Isle of Man, and you have announced that potentially that there's going to be industrial action. Is that too strong a word for it?
No, not at all. That's the correct term. Unfortunately, we've been forced into this position. No doctor actually wants to take industrial action, but we are left with no other choice. Therefore, we've started balloting our members, and ballots will finish on the 23rd of December. However, in parallel, we are also trying our best to negotiate with both Manx Care and the government. And I'm very pleased to say that must have seen Chief Minister has intervened, and he has asked both Manx Care and the BMA to get back on the negotiating table, which we asked for a meeting, and we will be meeting on the 2nd of December. So as the ballot goes on, we will be working very hard to try and arrive at a fair, credible pay rise that would not necessitate us taking industrial action.
You're picking your words very carefully there.
Yes.
Because you need to have that up your sleeve, as you know, but in negotiations. But you don't want to do it. Obviously, I mean, it's just going to cause chaos, more chaos, isn't it? Basically?
Yes. I mean, as it is, I think the health service is pared down the frontline services, and we don't want to contribute to further deterioration at all. Now,
technically, at the moment, as we speak, the Chief Minister is the man in charge of the health service as such. Things have moved a lot since we last talked. Yes. Is this a good thing for you or a bad thing? Or do you want to see a stable, long-term minister there?
Yes, we do want to see a stable, long-term minister who is willing and able to work in partnership with us, doctors, nurses, patients, and Manx Care.
And I must ask you this point: when you came on last time, and it might have been frowned upon that you were doing interviews. Did you have any pushback? Are you okay to talk, or is it still a bit of a minefield what you can and can't say?
There has been some pushback, and
against you, or
yes, against me personally, and also against one of the other doctors who was interviewed by Manx Radio. In fact, on the floor of Tynwald, we were wrongly accused of playing the system, whatever that means.
What does it
and
mean?
We have no right of reply. So we have written to the MHK who made that allegation and asked for an explanation about a month ago, and yet to hear back.
So have you been threatened, or was that too strong a word to shut up?
Not directly.
Okay, again, I think what you don't say is worth more than what you can say, because we don't want to get you into trouble, obviously, and you don't want to be in trouble.
Sure.
But you know, everyone's talking about this subject. Everyone's worried, and all those potential cutbacks that Manx Care announced, then Coburn said no to it. I mean, the whole idea, wasn't it, when this was set up, that it was meant to be separate from government and they should be doing their thing. I'm not saying they should, but you know, that's how it was perceived to me. And the £3 million a year was meant to be protecting the independence of Manx Care. Clearly, that isn't going to be the case. How do you feel as doctors? Or I mean, maybe personally, I don't know if you want to talk on behalf of everyone or individually, but is it making things more confusing at the minute for you?
Yes, unfortunately so. What Sir Jonathan Michael suggested was an arm's length organisation. What we have now, it's like 300 yards length organisation.
Wow.
arm's length would be fine, and it would work well as also. But I think we're too far removed, and especially under the former Minister for Health, I think the effective checks and balances weren't really put in place or weren't functioning as well as they should have.
And the previous Minister for Health, Mr. Hooper, who has left the position, appears to doesn't take any responsibility for anything that's gone wrong. I mean, that's odd in itself, but that's a classic thing I suppose you do. You're nodding in a very wise way. Were you surprised that nothing particularly seemed to be stopping at his door? Was that too difficult to answer?
Yes, I think the Tynwald is planning to conduct a thorough review of health and care anyway. So perhaps more might come out of that.
Okay. Well, we now have all sorts of things to talk about, because suddenly we're hearing that you're making, I say you, £300,000 some of these doctors are making, and wanting all this extra money to settle the thing. Is that propaganda? Is that really true? Or
Right. I must say, I was more surprised than anyone else when I saw that list. I'll come out and say, I'm a consultant with 20 plus years of experience, and I believe I work fairly hard. I'm not on this list of 20, not even close. And in fact, my total emoluments is significantly less than half of the top 3 earners.
But there are some people on that in the Isle of Man making this sort of money.
Obviously.
Because that's what was printed off, right? We
Yes.
were given this thing. Was that muddying the water slightly, do you think?
Right. I think the main reason, after I saw that list, I tried to make some inquiries. I understand it's a mixture of things. One, I believe there are some who have been appointed on individual contracts, i.e. Not even on the same contract as we are. So essentially Manx Care can pick and choose how much they pay.
Hang on, is that something that you knew about, or is it something that...
No.
Should everyone not be on the same contracts?
Yeah. That again, I picked up from an answer to Tynwald questions. This wasn't revealed to us, that there are 2 doctors on individual contracts, which means we have no idea what they're getting paid, and hopefully whatever we try to negotiate and fight for doesn't apply to them. Now, secondly, I believe there are some consultants who are on multiple, too many programmed activities that contributes to some. However, that's not the whole story, because, for example, the top 2, if it was just salary and programmed activities, they should be on 41 programmed activities, which is like doing 4 full-time jobs. That can't be happening. But what it did here is that there are significant number of vacancies, which incidentally is partly because our salaries are lower than most of the British Isles, and then they are filled on an hourly basis for rather extravagant sums of money.
The locums?
No, they're like internal locums, what they call bank.
Okay, bank stuff, yeah.
So those all add up.
Hang on. Are they double dipping? They're getting a salary and then they're coming back to work on a freelance basis?
No, the thing is they're getting a salary for working a certain shift pattern. In addition, I believe they're filling for empty slots on the rota.
How does this happen? How is this legitimate, or was it just one of those things that they needed people to fill positions and they just did what was necessary?
I don't know. I'm only trying to guess here.
Yeah.
We shouldn't see this in a well-managed organization.
Right. And again, the silence on that one is probably the best thing to leave it as. I don't want to push any hard on that one. Wasn't there, just slightly on the thing, there was going to be this survey of all doctors and everything and everyone that's worked. Have we heard any more about that one yet coming in with those results? Because obviously there was this accusation, I think, slightly by the old health minister, wasn't it, that only you hadn't done you hadn't done all the doctors on your survey or something, only nobles or whatever.
Yes.
And they were going to do this bigger survey.
There was the all staff survey.
All staff survey.
That's ongoing now.
Okay.
But I did look at the report and results of the 2023 survey, and although it's not as bad as the doctor's survey, it's very alarming. Like, for example, 51% of staff have said that they have experienced burnout. This is all staff.
Yeah.
And that should be a crisis point for any organization.
Yeah.
More than half your staff reaching burnout.
When's that survey coming in? The end of this year sometime?
No, the 23 one is available on the intranet.
The one they're taking at the moment. When are we going to get that?
Not sure.
Right.
Later this year, it should finish.
So that'd be all workers in the health.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens on that one. But yeah, back to your accusation that you were selective, or you were selective with the survey on those doctors. You accept that was. I mean, you didn't do all the doctors on the Isle of Man. It was just certain doctors. We
invited only doctors who were directly employed by Manx Care.
Okay.
Because the survey was about the culture in Manx Care.
Yeah.
And we got just over half the people replied, which is actually very good for surveys of this sort.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you say that, but I mean, people would think, well, if there's such a crisis, surely every doctor would have filled that form in. If they're happy, they're probably not going to be bothered so much, maybe.
Well, or it's more likely that they're apathetic and feel disenfranchised. And reading some of the comments, it becomes obvious that they think there's no point filling these surveys anymore because nothing's changed. The third time we fill this in, and what's changed? Every parameter has worsened year on year. Okay.
Well, let's talk, I mean, so many things to talk about here, but you got Alf Cannon in there now, and he's written, as he said to you, BMA. What's he really looking here for? You to come down on your the amount you want? Is he trying to find some sort of resolution in the middle there?
I think so. And obviously, I mean, I don't want to mention any numbers, but any credible offer that comes out of these renewed talks, we are happy to put to our membership. And by credible offer, it has to be at least as good as the rest of the British Isles.
Yeah. And where are we up to then on this? You know, when are you going to announce what's the intentions are of your members?
Right. The ballot is ongoing now.
Yeah.
I'll show you that. That is our poster.
Hold it up to a camera. There's put next to you there. Yeah, right.
And they've started arriving. I just got mine today, and I'm obviously going to vote yes. And the ballots will close on the 23rd of December. And soon after that, obviously accounting for Christmas and New Year, we will be announcing the results, and depending on the results, by law, we are supposed to announce our intended first day of industrial action within 5 weeks of the announcement of the results. Okay,
so that's the threat that's still lingering over everyone. And it says if you're not a BMA member, join today. So how many are not BMAs? I mean, you've got a lot of people out there who...
Yes.
Right.
Approximately a third are not BMA members.
And do you know why? I mean, it's just, obviously it's free choice, but I mean...
It is free choice. That is probably more than what the case is in England, actually.
Right.
But obviously we're trying to increase the membership, and we're offering a month's free membership. So if someone wanted to just join, vote, and then resign, that's fine too.
So Alpha's written to you, and
yes.
he's also written to Manx Care.
That's right, yes.
We don't know what Manx Care have said back, I'm guessing it, do we?
No, but following up on this, we requested a meeting, and Manx Care come back to us with the date of the 2nd of December.
Oh, right. So the 2nd of December, a round table?
Round table.
You, them?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon, maybe?
No.
Just the two groups?
Not that we know of, unless he's going to turn up on the day.
Right. So, okay. Again, without giving too much away, are you hopeful there's going to be something on the table for them?
I'm an eternal optimist.
Yes.
So yes, I'm very hopeful, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
People watching this from outside and looking into here again, I mean, we keep mentioning this. What's it doing for the potential to recruit people of your doctors to the Isle of Man?
It's seriously damaging.
Seriously damaging.
Yeah. And it already is seriously damaging because our neighbouring jurisdictions have actually reached agreements. I can give you some examples.
Is this some sort of PowerPoint you've been doing?
Yes, this is a membership PowerPoint, so I can't actually hand it to you.
Got it, okay.
But I can, right. Just for comparison, in England, resident doctors, formerly known as junior doctors, they've been given 22% over 2 years.
They were way behind there, weren't they?
No, they were all similarly behind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. SAS doctors, that is staff and associate specialist doctors, they've been given between 9.5% and 19.4%.
That's a wide difference.
Depending on the number of years of experience.
Right.
And consultants have been given 10.5% for 23-24 and 6% for 24-25. And if you look the westwards, Northern Ireland, the consultants have been given 11.26% for 2023-24. Scotland, all doctors got given 6% for 2023, but 10% for 24-25. And Jersey, all doctors got given 7.9% for 23 and 8% for 24, but their baseline salaries were significantly about 20% higher than us.
See, I mean, it's interesting because you mentioned earlier the British Isles, and I was thinking to myself, surely it's one for everyone, but it's not. It's being done by area, basically. England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and whatever,
That's right.
Channel Islands.
Right. As a result, a specialty doctor's starting salary in England is 59,175, and Isle of Man starting salary for a specialty doctor is 45,915.
So 51 to...
Sorry,
yeah.
59.
59?
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so there's a
45.
clear... And that's not taking into account necessarily the cost of living here and all the things that go on.
An associate specialist starting salary is 107,000 and here it's 104,000.
Right.
The consultant salary here on paper remains high. However, what you don't see in England, Scotland, Wales is that they have clinical excellence awards amounting to up to 40,000 on top of...
Bonuses?
Not bonuses, they're clinical excellence awards.
Right.
Now they're trying to change the name to clinical impact awards.
Right.
That you're awarded, but it stays on for the whole career and is pensionable.
But this first line, which was obviously be used against you to some degree, salaries on the Isle of Man remains higher than England, but for these things.
Yeah, for these reasons.
So you're getting more money or not?
We do get more money on just the salary.
Yeah.
However, we don't have access to clinical excellence awards.
Right.
We don't have access to what's known as waiting list initiatives. For example, in the UK, if there are too many patients waiting for procedures, etc., the local consultants almost get first dibs on whether you would work extra to clear the backlog. Here it gets given to Synaptic or similar.
An outside overseas company that comes in here and cleans up.
And private practice, there's huge potential for private practice in the UK and opportunities. Here it's been very, very limited private practice opportunities.
Well, we talk about this, we still can't believe the private wing isn't doing anything at all.
Apparently it's working working as a vaccination hub.
Right. And you carefully worded things that some people have been able to do things, but not everyone.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Is the way out of this in your negotiations to have it just simplified that whatever the UK or England gets, it's just duplicated here in future? Would that be the way out? Like so many other things normally seem to be done that way.
Yes,
nowadays.
we need to have some kind of safeguards.
You're waiting allowance for the Isle of Man, I'm guessing.
Yeah, something like that might actually work.
And the worst scenario if there's a good vote for industrial action, you've got to follow that up with actual. You can't vote for it, then not do anything.
That's correct.
And that's almost against your oath, isn't it?
Very much. Yes, it's something that no doctor wants to do.
And it has to be resolved at some point. That's another thing that comes along. Because if you do things and the waiting lists start going up again, that's literally the worst for everyone, isn't it?
Plus, it's going to cost huge amounts of money covering for that. Like in England.
They have to bring people in to do that.
In England, 3 days of then junior doctor strike cost close to 2 billion. And to settle, it would have cost something like 1.9 billion.
Do you have faith then in the minister / the chief minister? Because he hasn't put anyone in, which is interesting. I mean, I don't know how long he's waiting to make an announcement of a new minister. Does anyone actually want the job? I don't know. We don't know. Yeah, that's the sort of thing. But do you think he's the man to be able to bring this to a conclusion?
I hope so. We have met with him twice, and on both occasions he seemed to be very open. But he also was very honest and said, since that list of the top 20 has come out, that makes it very hard to sell to my Tinwall colleagues. And we did explain that those top 20 very likely will vote against the industrial action, because if the basic salaries get very competitive and all those gaps are filled, they're going to lose all this extra cash.
Right.
So the way to...
So these people exist, but you're not on it, for instance.
100%.
Were you surprised when you saw that list?
Yes. I'd vaguely
Amazing.
heard rumours of 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect 20.
Which didn't help your cause. It's almost like you've got to be careful how you read these things now.
And the timing of the release of information is somewhat suspicious, but I mean, I can't make baseless allegations.
You still got a job. Listen, anything else on this at all before we finish?
Yes, when we met with our doctors, they wanted me to talk about the least paid 20.
Oh.
Because there's so much talk about the most paid 20.
Yeah.
However, nobody seems to want to talk about the least paid 24 doctors actually.
Oh.
They are our foundation doctors, and the foundation doctor year 1, the basic pay per hour is £13.46.
Right.
And surgical pay per hour is 15.68 if they're working 51 hours. The basic pay per hour for second year foundation doctors is £16.66.
Can you translate that into yearly? Have you got the yearly figures?
Yep,
Just so we get that sort of feel of per year, because obviously all...
Yeah. Foundation year 1 doctor, £28,000.
28,000?
Yeah. And
so is that the first year out of medical school?
First year out of medical school.
Right.
And in England it's 32.4.
Right. I thought they were paying, because I know someone was a doctor who came here for a year, and it was a better deal for 1 year or something.
Additional.
They do something on for that first year, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's additional hours.
Oh, okay.
And I'm talking about basic pay.
Yeah.
And basic pay for foundation year 2 is 34,900 in Isle of Man and 37.3 in England. So they're losing out big time.
Right. The money's got to be found from somewhere. What's going to happen? I mean, obviously now this is Dr. Allison's area, isn't it? The income tax on the top area went up by this 2p. It looks like it's going to be sticking around. Do we have to pay more? I mean, how are we going to come to a conclusion on this?
Obviously, I don't want to second guess the government as to what they're going to do. However, for the year 23-24, which is the year in contention, the government has given Manx Care £47 million extra. That is enough to more than double every doctor's salary.
Wow. That was something that came out about all these extra positions, extra demands and on cash for Manx Care, for managers. Again, you're nodding. It's almost saying everything. You must get quite annoyed, I'm guessing, when you see that money being put into management and not into the front line. Well, I don't put words in your mouth. But is that...
Yes, it is very disappointing to see that. And as I said, £47 million extra, enough because the entire medical wage bill is 40 million. So it's enough to give us all 115% pay rise or something of that sort, but we've been given 0%.
Manx Care's there. No one's going. No one seems to be taking. No one's talking to us about it. I mean, they will do easy, soft interviews, and that's about it. It just seems like a lack of management, proper management going on here. Do you think? I mean, there's so many of them.
My
careful
old professor from university, when we actually were probably one of the first batches who actually got training in medical management.
Yes,
he used to say the higher the number of managers, the less management that goes on.
Yeah.
And that's very true.
It just seems incredible on the Isle of Man to have this situation when there's more chiefs than Indians by a mile. But that's for them to discuss if they want to discuss it. They're running scared of doing probably media interviews, that's for sure, which is interesting in itself. But I'd love to have a good chat with them.
And if they want to sit down with us and
a debate,
we'd be very happy to.
That is an option. You might find they want to use another organ, more sympathetic maybe, but anyway, that's another thing. We'll leave it for now, but obviously this is an ongoing thing, and we all, I'm sure, everyone's looking for to resolve this. You will have to negotiate. They'll have to negotiate. Everyone clearly knows they're not going to get those numbers you want, right? That's just the way it is, right? You won't get what you're fully asking for. I mean, I'm not spoiling your negotiations, but that's the way normally this thing's going to work.
Of course, yes.
Right. Okay, we'll see what happens. And thanks again for joining us. I think the Isle of Man really appreciates having this contact with you, so we can hear from the horse's mouth what's going on.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to tell the people. I mean, obviously, the people of the Isle of Man, we are a caring profession. We do not want to take industrial action. We do not want to do anything that affects your care or the timeliness of your care. But what options do we have in front of us?